During the Infinity Castle arc, we're faced against different opponents? Who would win? What would Akaza do if he had to fight against Kanao and Shinobu, for example? Zenitsu did defeat Taigaku on his own, but could he defeat Nakime? How about Akaza? Well, today, we'll swap the places of all demons and see all 20 alternate battles. In which of them would the Demon Slayers win? And in which ones would the demons? Let's find out. The 5 groups of Demon Slayers are Zenitsu, Giyu and Tanjiro, Inosuke and Kanao and Shinobu, Obadai and Mitsuri and Yushiro, Sanemi and Gyomei, and Genya and Muichiro. So let's mix things up and see what happens. Just a small warning, as it turns out, the only combination in which the Demon Slayers would actually win the final war was the one that happened in the original story. Why? You'll understand why in a little bit. Beginning with Akaza. In the original story, he was faced against Giyu and Tanjiro. Now let's put him against Zenitsu. Well, Zenitsu here is indeed incredibly more powerful than what he used to be, but is he capable of defeating Akaza on his own? Well, for starters, we saw that Akaza can even regenerate his severed head, even if it's cut through the neck, which is what is supposed to be the weak spot of demons. This means that the only possible vulnerabilities he has are either direct exposure to sunlight or continued severe injuries with the use of sun breathing or red blade attacks. Zenitsu possessed none of those abilities, and being inside the Infinity Castle, he had no way of bringing Akaza to direct sunlight. This has as a result that Zenitsu has absolutely no chance of defeating Akaza on his own. And yet, you do have a chance of winning a $100 gift card for Crunchyroll, Amazon, or Steam. And all of that for literally having fun and chatting with your favorite anime characters through Voice.me. Keep watching and I'll explain how you can join. You see, FableVerse is a free platform on Voice.me where you can chat with your favorite Demon Slayer and anime characters, including, but not limited to, your favorite waifus like Nami, Robin, Hinata, Mitsuri, and many more. And of course, your favorite characters like Luffy, Naruto, or Tanjiro. Chat with them about anything you want, and I mean anything. Rewrite canon events with exciting what-if stories, play RPG adventures that are shaped by your choices. For example, when you start talking to Tanjiro, you'll see iconic images of him along with his encouraging words about never giving up and protecting the people you care about, and sometimes even showcasing his powerful fight techniques. Each conversation unlocks new images, almost like collecting rare cards, and you can track your progression as you build your collection. And here's the best part. FableVerse is running a limited time giveaway. All you need to do is use my link in the description down below, talk to Tanjiro, and send at least 8 messages in the chat for your chance to win one of 5 $100 gift cards. Just make sure you're logged in and that you use my link so your entry counts. You'll find the link to the Tanjiro character chat and many more anime characters in the description down below. So what are you waiting for? Check Voice.me through my link in the description down below today. But now, let's get back to our video. But what if something more interesting happens? Let's see how Akaza would do against the group of Inosuke and Kanao and Shinobu. And why is it more interesting, you might ask? Because as we all know, Akaza does not fight women. So what happens now? Well, he does fight Inosuke, but he never under any circumstances kills and eats Shinobu. What he does instead is that he runs away and tries to find someone else to fight. His ideals absolutely prevent him from fighting against a woman. And in this case, not only is it one woman, but 2. The man is only Inosuke. He could maybe defend against the 2 and attack only Inosuke, but that would be a big waste of time. He simply runs in efforts to fight a better group of Demon Slayers to fight. But what if the next group of Demon Slayers also has a woman in their ranks? Let's see the group of Obanai, Mitsuri, and Yushiro. Okay, so here things are a little bit different, because even though Mitsuri is a woman, she's only 1 woman and 2 men, meaning that Akaza fighting this group is a bit doable. His approach is to defend against Mitsuri and attack against the other 2. The main issue here is that Akaza is not just more powerful, none of his opponents have any actual ways to defeat him. No red blades at this stage for either of Mitsuri or Obanai, no sun breaths, and of course, no sunlight. Akaza's destructive close-range power and sharp senses, on the other hand, give him an immediate edge, allowing him to sense killing intent and counter most attacks from Obanai and Mitsuri. Mitsuri's love breathing grants extreme flexibility and speed, letting her evade and retaliate with her whip-like sword, while Obanai's serpent breathing offers unpredictable, coiling strikes that force Akaza to adjust his rhythm. Yushiro, although not a frontline fighter, supports with illusion-type blood demon art to obscure and disrupt disrupt Akaza's senses, making it harder for him to predict attacks. Together, Mitsuri and Obanai pressure Akaza, forcing him to defend Mitsuri's attacks and try to get him on the offensive, only against Obanai, since Yushiro keeps his distance. However, Akaza's regeneration outpaces their damage. His martial arts mastery and shockwaves gradually wear Obanai down. Ultimately, they could push him hard, but Akaza's unlimited stamina, regeneration, and variety of attacks ultimately wear Obanai down, who is the first to drop. As soon as that happens, Yushiro is next. Mitsuri is spared, and Akaza simply escapes. But for the fourth battle, well, this is gonna be different, because now he has to face Sanemi, Gyomei, Genya, and Muichiro. Similar to the original story, the first who makes contact with the opponent is Muichiro. Right from the start, Akaza recognizes Muichiro's exceptional talent and potential. After all, Akaza has a knack for talented fighters, and that's why he was insisting on having Rengoku turn into a demon. Similarly, he asks Muichiro to become a demon, which, of course, Muichiro refuses. Muichiro wastes no time, as he understands one mistake can prove fatal. He attacks with his mist-breathing techniques, using incredible speed and misdirection to keep Akaza on edge. Despite this, Akaza's centuries of combat experience and enhanced perception give him the upper hand. He can anticipate Muichiro's movements and counters quite effectively. Akaza notices Muichiro's Demon Slayer mark, which makes him even more excited about this battle. But right when he was getting excited, Genya arrives. His sudden entry shifts the rhythm. Genya fires point blank with a shotgun loaded with Nichirin bullets, forcing Akaza to dodge rather than attack. The barrage doesn't wound the upper moon deeply, but it buys Muichiro a critical heartbeat to breathe and reset his stance. Akaza recognized Genya is a threat, so he pins him to the wall and prepares to end him. But that moment, Genya bites Akaza and thus activates his own demon transformation, sprouting marks and gaining a burst of regeneration and strength. And yet, that was only the beginning of problems for Akaza, because Sanemi arrives next. His wind breathing creates violent slashes that land on Akaza, forcing the Upper Moon 3 further into the corner. For the first time, the Upper Moon is forced to defend against 3 different rhythms at once: Muichiro's mist, Genya's gun-assisted assaults, and Sanemi's explosive wind attacks. And if you thought Akaza had it difficult, well, Gyomei arrives as well to end things for good. At this point, Akaza is simply overwhelmed. Gyomei, Sanemi, and Muichiro all have their marks awakened, while also using the bright red Nichirin blade power-up. Akaza here stands no chance. They slice him from all angles while also using red blade attacks, which he cannot fully regenerate. So fast that he's got no time whatsoever to even attempt to regenerate. Don't forget Kokushibo was stated to be stronger than both Akaza and Doma combined, and this group of demon slayers defeated him. So naturally, Akaza here stands no chance. From the Upper Moon 3, let's move on to Upper Moon 2, Doma. Instead of fighting Inosuke, Kanao, and Shinobu, we'll now check the other cases. First up is Zenitsu. Similarly to what we stated with Akaza, Zenitsu has no real power-ups that can permanently injure the Upper Moon 2, but even so, he tries. Zenitsu begins the fight by using his immense speed to try and inflict significant damage before Doma can fully deploy his Blood Demon art. But well, Doma's way too fast as well, and without Shinobu's poison dragging him down, well, Zenitsu will soon find out that this fight will not go his way. Doma deploys his Blood Demon art immediately, and the freezing air halts Zenitsu's movements, making him considerably slower. Even with his 7th form or extended thunderclap techniques, there's few things he can do. So naturally, Doma takes this round with ease. But what if we now discuss a battle that is definitely closer? Doma against Tanjiro and Giyu. Now this is definitely an interesting one. Giyu and Tanjiro did win against Akaza, the Upper Moon 3, but can they do the same against someone even stronger, aka Upper Moon 2? Let's see! So Tanjiro here is effectively using his sun breathing, which, let's say, makes all the difference during the battle. Now the important thing we need to consider here is that Tanjiro, when fighting against Akaza, was constantly evolving. And not just that, this kept happening even during his final fight with Muzan. By the time Tanjiro faced Muzan, he had unlocked Sun Breath 13th form, a form not even Yoriichi had used. At that point, Tanjiro was, sure not on the same level as Yoriichi, but he was definitely comparable to him, as in essence, he could use all the power-ups that Yoriichi could use: Red Blade, Transparent World, Demon Slayer Mark, Selfless State, and even Mastery over Sun Breath. So yeah, in a battle with Doma, Tanjiro would basically keep getting stronger until reaching a point where he could effectively kill Doma. After all, Tanjiro, not so long after Akaza was defeated, was seen going 1v1 against Muzan, and he did pretty well. So yeah, overall, I'd say Tanjiro and Giyu would in time probably manage to defeat Doma. Multiple decisive slashes coated with sun breath would leave Doma unable to effectively regenerate. But what if Obanai, Mitsuri, and Yushiro are now faced against Doma? Well, the situation here would be quite similar to the case we already described when this group faced Akaza, but with the difference that Doma not only does not mind fighting against women, he also prefers doing so, especially if the woman in question is considered beautiful. So here, as we mentioned before, none of the characters have yet to awaken any significant power boosts, which would allow them to permanently injure Doma. Only Obanai awakened the bright red Nichiren blade, but he did so later on, during the fight with Muzan, not really here. So with that being said, Mitsuri and Obanai are engaging Doma from close up, while Yushiro provides backup from a distance. Mitsuri is defeated first and devoured by Doma, which, let's just say Obanai goes crazy when seeing this, but on his own, there aren't many things he can do. Obanai loses too, and then it's Yushiro's turn as well. Doma, in that case, would be 100% successful and remain alive. And for the fourth round of Doma, he needs to face the A-team of Sanemi, Yomei, Genya, and Muichiro. Here, things play out in a similar way as the fight we described with Akaza. Muichiro arrives first and freezes from fear when encountering Doma, especially once he sees this sadistic evil smile. There is a small difference here though. Doma does not really try to turn Muichiro into a demon. For him, all that matters is that he has fun at the moment. Muichiro wastes no time as he understands one mistake can prove fatal. He attacks with his mist breathing techniques, but Doma's blood demon art is kind of a great counter for that. Doma unleashes his cryokinesis and freezes the surrounding area in which mist can no longer expand. Muichiro's movements are also slowed down significantly due to the frost slowing down his movements. Muichiro holds on for a little while until Genya arrives and unleashes a barrage of gunshots loaded with Nichiren bullets towards Doma. This buys Muichiro that critical heartbeat to breathe and reset his stance. And yet, that was only the beginning of problems for Doma, because Sanemi arrives next. Things are now much more even. I would even dare say that the Demon Slayers have the advantage here. Add Gyomei that arrives as well in a little bit. And yeah, Doma is screwed here. Gyomei, Sanemi, and Muichiro all have their marks awakened, while also using the bright red Nichiren blade power-up. Doma here stands no chance. They slice him from all angles while also using red blade attacks, which he cannot fully regenerate. So fast that he's got no time whatsoever to even try. Doma is defeated for good. And now, let's take things even more seriously. Let's examine Kokushibo. Instead of fighting Sanemi, Yomei, Muichiro, and Genya, what if he fought against Zenitsu for a start? I mean, do I really need to explain what would happen in that case? Zenitsu's fast, but Kokushibo is faster. Zenitsu has Thunder Breath, a pretty good breathing style, but Kokushibo has Moon Breath, an even better one. Zenitsu has good sword-wielding skills, but Kokushibo's are better. Kokushibo's also stronger, has regeneration, transparent world, Demon Slayer mark, and in general, well, I mean, let's not waste our time here. Kokushibo destroys Zenitsu before Zenitsu can even start crying. How about Giyu and Tanjiro now? This is indeed a much more interesting one. You see, the issue here is that Tanjiro keeps becoming stronger and stronger. And not just that, imagine Kokushibo's reaction when seeing glimpses of his brother in Tanjiro. And this would happen for two reasons. First of all, Tanjiro resembling Yoriichi has an impact on all the demons that received cells by Muzan. The fear this demon has of Yoriichi is so massive that a demon even looking at his earrings makes them tremble in fear because of the Muzan cells instinctively reacting in fear. Not only that, but in the case of Kokushibo, can you imagine how berserk Kokushibo would go when seeing Tanjiro? Not only using all of the power-ups his brother could use, but also using the sun breath on top of it? Like Kokushibo did everything in his power for decades trying to reach the level of Yoriichi, and now a random human appears having reached what he could not? This is so insane to him that it drives Kokushibo mad! But nonetheless, the fact that Tanjiro keeps growing at such a rapid rate means that his sun breath attacks keep evolving. The fight takes longer to conclude than what it took against Akaza. This allows Tanjiro the necessary time to evolve and better understand the sun breath style. Once that happens, Tanjiro unleashes the 13th form, the one that actually helped him fight against Muzan on equal ground. This pushes Kokushibo on the edge, which in turn causes him to evolve into his final form, just like it happened in the original story. However, just like in the original story, once Kokushibo sees the reflection of himself in a katana, he realizes that he went too far in his efforts to obtain strength. He admits his mistakes and lets himself die, rather than continue shaming himself and his honor as a samurai. And yet the next round is kind of interesting too. Why? Because under the right circumstances, the group of Inosuke, Kanao, and Shinobu could actually win. You see, if you recall, Shinobu injected herself with a ton load of poison in order to be consumed by Doma and wear him down so that the rest could finish him off. But how does this work in this case? You see, we know that Kokushibo also ate humans, and more than that, he also ate the ones who challenged him and lost to him. It was stated that normally every demon who challenged Kokushibo, after they lost, he would consume them, with the sole exception of Akaza, for the simple reason that Kokushibo liked Akaza, meaning that in this case, Kokushibo eating Shinobu is not totally out of the question. That is, if Kokushibo did not have access to transparent worlds. With this power-up, he can see every last cell in Shinobu's body, and thus know that if he was to eat her, he would be poisoned. As a result, well, he just doesn't do that. And remember, this trio couldn't even defeat Doma if the Upper Moon 2 was not poisoned. So what do you think's gonna happen against the Upper Moon 1? Yeah, exactly. Kokushibo defeats all three opponents with not that much trouble. How about if Kokushibo faced Obanai, Mitsuri, and Yushiro now? Well, things are even worse in this case for the Demon Slayers. As mentioned previously, Obanai and Mitsuri are the ones who get close, while Yushiro tries to use his blood demon art to confuse Kokushibo. But, well, good luck with that one. In reality, Kokushibo is so far beyond all three of them that he doesn't really have to try here. Possibly, he could defeat all three of them without even using his breathing forms or blood demon art. Just pure speed, strength, and battle IQ. Kokushibo takes this easily. Next, let's switch up a demon one more time. We now have Kaigaku. Instead of fighting Zenitsu, what if he now fights against Giyu and Tanjiro? Kaigaku moves through the Infinity Castle and stumbles across this duo. Tanjiro adjusts his breathing into Hinokami Kagura, watching for openings, while Giyu lowers his stance, water breathing steady and controlled. Kaigaku attacks first with a burst of thunder breathing, closing the gap in an instant. Tanjiro blocks, but feels the current of electricity vibrate through his sword. This might not be so easy, as Kaigaku is indeed the weakest Upper Moon, but he is incredibly fast. Kaigaku uses his demon-enhanced speed in combination with the thunder breath that gives the user extreme speed in his effort to break the pattern of the duo. But in time, this proves ineffective to Tanjiro, as don't forget, only the Upper Moon 3 are immune to slashes in the neck, meaning that not only Tanjiro can inflict the final blow, Giyu can as well. Naturally, Kaigaku loses this fight once Tanjiro masters a bit more of the sun breath. But would Kaigaku stand a chance against Inosuke, Kanao, and Shinobu? Well, I don't think so either. Here, I'd even say that Shinobu would not even have to sacrifice herself. This trio would be more than capable enough to destroy Kaigaku. Overall, even though Kaigaku is fast, I don't think he's faster than Doma. And since the main attribute of Kaigaku is his speed, sooner or later, the three Demon Slayers would manage to inflict significant damage, especially since all three of them are known for both their agility and fluency of movements. What if he had to face Obanai, Mitsuri, and Yushiro then? Well, Kaigaku could not really defeat one Hashira level character. Some would even say that Zenitsu was not Hashira level at this point. But to be fair, I'm gonna say that he was. But anyway, Kaigaku could not defeat one of them, so what makes him think he could defeat two fully fledged ones that also had support from a demon as well? This does not play out well for Kaigaku, who gets one more defeat. And yet, he still has not encountered the strongest group of them all, Sanemi, Gyomei, Genya, and Muichiro. I think I'll have to be quite brief here, since, yeah, we all know how this one plays out. Muichiro arrives first and engages in combat with Kaigaku. I'd say Muichiro is probably enough on his own to take down Kaigaku pretty swiftly. After all, Muichiro took down Gyoko on his own not so long ago, and Gyoko was arguably stronger than Kaigaku. Not only did he have more experience as a demon than him, he also occupied a higher position, Upper Moon 5, instead of Upper Moon 6. If Kaigaku manages to hold on until Genya arrives, well, once that happens, Kaigaku starts running to escape. But the two Demon Slayers don't really give him space for that. If he manages to survive long enough until Sanemi arrives, well, that's all there is to it. Kaigaku's definitely dead now. All that's left is for Gyomei to arrive here, only to see that there's nothing left to do. Well, he wouldn't exactly see it since, you know, he's blind, but yeah, you get what I mean. And now we reach the final demon in Infinity Castle, Nakime. Instead of fighting Obanai, Mitsuri, and Yushiro, let's see what happens if she fights Zenitsu. Well, there isn't much to analyze here. She isn't really an offensive type of fighter. She just plays her biwa in order to switch the structure of the Infinity Castle and thus manage to stay safe. But given Zenitsu's speed, all it takes is one time to be late. And in that case, gets severed, and Nakime is no more. But what if she fights Giyu and Tanjiro now? Well, things would be even worse for her, as Tanjiro's insane growth means he also gets insanely faster as time passes too. After all, sun breathing is basically the breath form which thunder breathing originates from. If you think mastering that breath makes you fast, well, wait to see what mastering the sun breathing does to someone's speed. Add Giyu's composure and battle IQ, and Nakime is pushed into a corner and eventually defeated. How about Inosuke, Kanao, and Shinobu? Well, pretty much the same thing happens. One fully fledged Hashira and two characters who are close to Hashira level. Eventually, they would definitely manage to land a strike on her, sooner or later at least. And since she cannot really attack them effectively, Nakime loses here too. How about against Sanemi, Gyomei, Genya, and Muichiro? Come on, do I really have to explain what would happen here? I mean, we all know, right? So instead of doing that, then I'll suggest you do something else. Click on this video, where I'm explaining what would happen if Zenitsu was turned into a